Seriously, boys, what the actual This one's going to be a rough one. Welcome into the Setup Man post-game show, live edition. Little fun little treat, we thought. We thought Tyone on the mound, little bounce-back spot, and it wasn't that way.
It'll be fun, they say.
Oh, God. Well, welcome to Therapy, Setup Man Therapy. I'm your host, Alex Brawl, along with, we got the whole crew tonight. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. We got Ty and Kyle both here to what we thought was going to be a celebration, but I'm looking forward to taking your calls later. Let's just put it that way. But before we get into the mess that was tonight, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, help us out there, hit that little bell. Kyle's been doing a lot of breakdowns. I would imagine, Kyle, you're going to break down something from this disaster. Maybe.
I don't have time, guys. My kid is just this house with two kids is like anyone with two kids out there. Like I feel your pain now. Like it is a lot. It's a lot. But you know,
well,
the Cubs are playing like this.
Well, in the audience, that's why you hit the little bell so you get notifications when he does do stuff like that. If you're audio only, make sure to hit that subscribe button, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And also, if you want, if you could, leave a little 5-star review for us. That also helps us out. All right. Well, let's just start here. The Cubs have lost 3 in a row. The Brewers won today against Pittsburgh. Obviously, the Cardinals beat us. So standings update, the Cubs are only 2.5 up on Milwaukee and St. Louis. Lost 3 in a row. Ty, let's start with you. Panic meter, 1 to 10. Classic old school sports radio question. Panic meter, 1 to 10. Where you at?
Sucks, man. I started laughing because I saw this guy just put Boog sucks in the chat.
You know what's bad?
We're back to live show, boys.
I just first off, it's good to see you guys. It's good to have the chat back. Man, the sky is falling. Oh my God. Oh, where do I even start, man?
Panic meter. I'm holding your feet to the fire. The people need to know.
I'm going to say a 6.2 based on the fact of we do not have very good starting pitching going on at this moment. So that's where I'm at. I'm in a blender. I'm in an absolute blender. I just dealt with a group chat with a bunch of Cardinals fans for the last 2 days. That is ungodly miserable. I do not recommend that to anyone here. Don't even ask why I'm a part of these group chats. Yeah, I'll turn it back over to you, Alex.
Well, same question to Kyle. Kyle, it's been a while since you've been on the pod. How are you feeling?
How's life?
Yeah.
I'm a 5 out of 10, and here's why. So the offense overperformed. Like, let's just be honest. The offense is not number 1 in baseball, even though we've been number 1 in baseball for a long time. But that wasn't going to last. They've come back down to earth. This is about where I would expect. Now, do I want to wring out Craig Counsell's neck every time I see Dansby Swanson hitting 4 or 5 and can't hit with runners in scoring position? Absolutely. God, I dropped the F-bomb a lot in front of my my family tonight, and I really apologize for that. I'm working off of no sleep. I'm working off a lot of stuff here, but I'm working off of more frustration, but I'm also working off of some optimism because really the number one issue that the Cubs have right now is starting pitching. The offense will bounce back. The bullpen was phenomenal tonight. They kept us in the game. Shota is coming back, and you know that Jed has been on the phones. Like, he's going to make a move. So in literally 2 weeks, we could be like, hey, remember when we were relying on Tyone to be our number 2, and now literally we couldn't give 2 shits about how he does because he's legitimately now our number 5. Like, that's where my optimism lies. But Jed has to make a move.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. I have some saucy nuggets in Block B here. Just some insider info, not mine, Bruce Levine. I think I'm right in between you guys. I do think the offense has not been the issue during this poor stretch of games. It's been the starting pitching. They are coming back to earth like a bad spaceship expedition. It's on fire. It's spinning out of control. Yes, Shota's coming back. Praise be. But even Tyone, man, Ty and I praised him on this very program. He's been unbelievable. He's been great. And my, oh my, his last 2 starts have been horrendous. I actually felt good coming in tonight. Then they were up 5-2. I'm thinking, all right, little shutdown inning, gives up a 2-run homer. Okay, we're still up 1. And there's no other way to put it, guys. They peed right down the front of themselves tonight. I mean, where do you want to start? PCA's mental mistake, the terrible bunt, the Reese McGuire, I guess attempted a bunt. I mean, it's not just that they're losing. It's that the whole foundation of fundamentals and defense and it's all crashing down at one point. Now, the reason I'm in between you guys and I'm not fully panicked, even though it definitely sounds like it, and I'm talking real fast. If y'all remember, the greatest Cubs team in history, 2016, had a stretch at the end of June where they went 5-15. I believe right before the All-Star break, they got their ass handed to them.
15? I don't remember that. Wow.
It was right at the end of June. And I don't know if that's the exact thing, but I do remember there was a stretch in like 20 games where they were horrendous. So it happens. This is baseball. But I will say losing to those goddamn dirty birds hurts a little bit more. So I guess the question is, Kyle, how do we fix it? How do we stop the bleeding tomorrow?
Okay, so like let's take like just a step back here and look at it from a unbiased standpoint.
Backwards hat Kyle is just entered the chat. I'm just wanted to report that to anyone that's listening. I'm trying to find some positivity here because I don't have a lot. So go ahead, Kyle. Back to you.
All right. Well, so there's what you just said to Alex, but also, all right. So they've lost 5 of 6. The worst stretch they had up until now was they lost 4 of 5. Is this being magnified because the Brewers are playing so well? If the Brewers had gone 500 over the last 6 games, we only lose 1 or 2 games. Literally a week ago on Wednesday, so 7 days ago, we were 6.5 up, and now we're only 2.5 up. I think it feels just so dramatic because of how well the Brewers are playing. And yeah, the Brewers now officially like scare me, but also I'm more scared because they're playing the Pirates and the Rockies this week. So to answer your question, is there anything to fix or how do we fix it? I don't know that there's anything to fix because teams are supposed to go through bad stretches. It just feels magnified to me right now because you're playing the Cardinals. You looked like dog crap against the Mariners, who really at the end of the day are not that good of a team. And it was at home. And then the Brewers are playing well. So that's where I'm at. And I think that's why I'm like a 5. And why are you throwing a button over my face as I'm talking? It's just
didn't realize that it was like right over your face. This is the joys of doing it live, back in the saddle, riding a bike.
No, but I think that's why I'm a 5 because but it does go back to what you said, Alex. It especially feels even more magnified when you're making really bad mental mistakes, which is why I was so hard on Ian Happ the other day and why I got so much crap is because it's just a mental mistake. Like mental mistake. We all played baseball here, right? We all played baseball through high school. Ty, you played in college. What's the one thing that your coaches just like, we're not okay with? If you made a physical error, it sucks. Throw their clipboard. God dang it. You make a mental error. Are you in the next inning? Are you playing that next inning? Or are you on the bench?
I'm on the bench.
Yeah. And that's the frustration is like, you can avoid the mental mistakes and they're not avoiding them right now.
Ty.
Right now, so if we look at this team and like Kyle alluded to, where you take a step back, right? For the first 2 months for this team, really almost going into 3 months, was the fact that this team had the most difficult schedule in all of baseball. And the fact is that they got through that stretch pretty much sort of unexpected and how successful they were against such a difficult stretch of teams. Now, if that stretch were to happen right now, oh boy. But then they take care of business against a very, very weak schedule. And my biggest fear with the way that their schedule was sort of structured was that out of the gates, the expectations, because they went to Japan, they had to be ready to go. And Tyone even alluded to it. Should have been ready tonight. But Tyone alluded to it. Hey, we need to be ready to go. Expectations are we cannot it be at all in a phase of not dialed in right away when we get to spring training, because we have to go to Japan and play the best team in the league. Then they come back, they have this pretty unreal stretch against this unbelievable schedule. Then they take care of business against this weak schedule. And my biggest fear is that they saw these two sort of sections of their schedule to say, okay, we got to get through this. And then, hey, boys, if the offense is rolling, we're going to be really, really good against this weak schedule. And they did that. Now the problem is that now they're back to facing teams, especially now facing divisional opponents, which at the end of the day, those games are always heightened. Now we're starting to see possibly where this team actually is. And it's unfortunate because where they were at the beginning of the year was at such an elite level that had everybody oozing over the Cubs. But now we're at a point where we're starting to deal with this sort of like dog days of summer. And it's happening at such a brutal time because, as Kyle mentioned, the Brewers, the Cardinals have started to play very good baseball. And the Cincinnati Reds, boys, are 4.5 out as well.
And
so,
have a phenom, apparently.
Absolutely. Chase Burns looked unreal tonight. So that's where I'm at, Alex. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Mr. Brault, because you do such a great job with this show. And I think you've earned the opportunity to give your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts right now are I'm angry. And it's kind of what I really, I mean,
I hear it in your voice.
I'm angry.
I'm kind
it is what it is. I was talking, Ty, you and I were talking off air before Kyle hopped on with us. While I hate the Brewers more than any other team in professional sports, losing to the Cardinals just really bugs me. And it's not just that they beat us. It's the offense was good tonight. The strategy, the mental part of the game from the managers, from the players, it just, guys, we're in the middle of a division race. These are important games. And it just feels like there's some sort of disconnect, and I don't know what it is. Kyle Tucker heating up. The Dansby Swanson thing, look, I said it on this show, I am a Dansby defender, but with runners in scoring position this season, he's hitting 145. That number is so low, it won't even buy you a McChicken. Like, but we keep putting him in the middle of the lineup. He was doing fine as a 7 or 8 hitter. I get it. You don't want to have all these lefties and righties and blah, blah, blah. The strategy has confused me. The mental errors drive me up a wall. As you said, Kyle, I mean, that's high school stuff. My coach always said, Bozo, you need to know where the ball is. You need to know how many outs are. If you're batting, you need to know the signs. And you also need to know where your outfield is positioned. And it just feels like there's little league stuff. Even the Ian Happ play that caused you, Kyle, to be kind of a lightning rod on X over the weekend. It's high school. People are saying, well, Dansby called him off. Little League. The outfielder has priority. Even if the shortstop is calling for it, that outfielder, if he calls it, he's got priority. It's little stuff like that, man. And I know they're professionals. This is a damn good baseball team. They'll figure it out eventually. But right now, I'm pretty frustrated because it's all stuff they can avoid. And the pitching, my God, Tyone hit a corner one time. Ben Brown hit a corner one time. 0-2, here you go. Let me put it on the TV. What are we doing?
I
rest my case.
Well, and that was the other thing. If you didn't mention it, the other high school little league stuff is like, just don't hang 0-2 pitches. Like,
yes,
can we please stop doing that? Not even 0-2, just like Tyone was ahead 0-2 on the Newt Bar at bat where Newt Bar hit a home run. He was ahead 1-2 to Contreras on the at bat before that. It just, there were so many at bats tonight. And here's the thing, like I don't know if you guys think this way, but I definitely think this way. And I think about this way because I grew up in the Sammy Sosa era. When Sammy would hit 2 home runs and they would lose, you feel like you wasted a good Sammy game. When your 3-hitter and 2-hitter, Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki, go 6 for 9, am I getting that right? 6 for 9 with 5 RBIs and a home run. God, what a waste. Like, what a waste. You're supposed to win games when those guys do that. And I think that's a good time to just say, congratulations, Seiya Suzuki, for being at your career high home run mark. And it is June 24th. This is so fun seeing him come into his own. So I don't know why I'm trying to be Mr. Positivity tonight, because I'm not feeling that positive, but I mean, that is one thing to celebrate for sure.
Absolutely. And I was going to mention that as well. Seiya has obviously taken a step forward, and there brings the discussion of, did Tucker's signing really make players better throughout the lineup? Well, screw that topic. It's made Seiya Suzuki more comfortable because he's allowed to be able to, strike out instead of feeling like he has to be a Kyle Tucker in that lineup. Boys, I do want to, because I don't want to miss out this conversation. So, Alex, I do apologize if we're deviating a little bit from the agenda here. But I think a very important subject here is what we saw tonight from PCA. Because for a lot of people with PCA in what happened there on that sac fly in the 4th inning, a lot of people were wanting to point at him and say, we need him out of the lineup immediately. He needs to sit. He needs to be benched for his mistakes. I just wanted to ask you guys, because my opinion is that I never played at the big league level. Obviously, I played at the college level, and at the college level, realistically, you don't have truly superstars, especially I played Division III baseball. So superstars wasn't necessarily a term used in our game. It was the best players in the lineup were the best players in the lineup, and could hit the ball, to any part of the field. But realistically, like if they were to make a mental mistake like that, you were going to get benched. I feel like it's important for us to discuss from like the major league perspective, just that situation, because I think I would say this. PCA plays his bag off every single game and has played his bag off for his entire career since he's been up. It's actually been a shocker to me that they've kind of told him, I'm guessing they told him not necessarily to run, like basically sprint to death on every single ground ball, because he can basically beat out every ground ball that's hit. But I was just curious your guys' thoughts, because I think a lot of Cub fans, that's in the back of their minds with what's going on. Kyle, I'll start with you.
You're basically just asking, like, what's my thoughts on PCA's performance tonight, and like, should something be done, or what are you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Nothing should be done. I mean, he's young, guys. Like, he's 23 years old. We're going to go through some of this stuff. Does it frustrate me that he, like, especially just kind of gets a little too loud about his mistakes? Like when he pops up or something, he throws the bat down and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, let's like pace the energy here. Let's not run out of energy by June. But you heard Ian Happ talk about that. He's like, he just wants to be great. Like, and so I don't think there's anyone that's going to be harder on himself tonight after tonight's game than PCA is going to be on himself. So it's kind of like when you've done something wrong and that you're a responsible teammate, your coaches probably are just going to be like, hey, do we need to talk about tonight? And he's probably just gonna be like, no, like I feel like an idiot. Like, okay, you're gonna do better next time. It's just part. I mean, it's gonna be some growing pains. And hey, guess what? Those growing pains still come with him flirting with MVP this year. Like, I'll take that all day long.
And he was one of the few bats to show up tonight in a clutch spot, end of the game. I mean, granted, they didn't score anything off of it, but it's like, oh, okay, he's on. Then he steals second. It's like, all right, if Dansby can just get a hit here. And, of course, high chopper, anyone, just not Nolan Arenado. Because I know he's not what he used to be, but Christ almighty, that guy could still pick it. Of course, bare hand throws him out. Otherwise, we're tied and we're not even doing the show yet. It's just...
I am curious though, Ty, like your response to that, your same question. Do you have a thought on that?
I would just say that I think where my head is at on this is similar to yours, Kyle, where we're discussing a player that, in my opinion, is the hardest worker on the team in essence of the way he plays, the plays he makes. And realistically, so I have not seen anything like that from PCA in his career thus far. And so it immediately right away, I was like, bench him. We got to bench him. And that was the like sort of like the player back in the day where it was like, if a guy's not dialed in, he needs to be benched. And I think there does have to come a little bit of a conversation when it comes to superstars in the game of baseball. It was a mental mistake. The fact was, though, is that realistically, if he was not in this game for the rest of the game, there was no way in hell that we were winning this game. And he was going to be the reason that we were possibly going to win it. So it's such a shame that, unfortunately, people will look at that and say we lost 8-7. And that one run could have been the difference. I'm going to say he shouldn't be benched. And it's based on the history of the player and what he's provided. So that's where my head's at.
We're not talking about Gleyber Torres jogging to first base. We're not talking about Nick Castellanos being a smartass. We're talking about a guy who, like you said, has never given any sort of signs of being lazy, or the only signs he ever gives is being cocky, which I freaking love having that on our team. Like, it's Javi vibes, right? So no, I just, if you think that PCA has to be benched, you're probably not going to like what the rest of our opinions are, because that's not where my mind is at all.
Don't they typically hold benchings for keeping someone accountable? I mean, I don't know. Like you said, Kyle, it's not like it was anything egregious. It happens. I mean, everybody, have you watched Juan Soto play the outfield? Butcher. I mean, it's just, even the greats have their issues. Whatever. It's a one-off. I'm not concerned about it. I'm sure Counsell, when he got back dugout, was like, what the bleep happened there? All right. Anything 100%. that we say on this show, I guarantee you, as someone with anxiety, PCA is saying a lot meaner things. Trust me. So I get it. Hold him accountable. But they were still in the game. He's arguably your best player. Whatever. It's a one-off. And at this point, you need all hands on deck. The snowball is rolling downhill in a bad direction. You need all hands on deck to try and stop the bleeding. So whatever. I'm fine with it. And also, I'm over the Vidal Brujan experience. So I don't really need to see any more of him. That'll be all.
Take that out of left field.
Take it out of left field, brother. That's right. But that was incredible.
I'm so frustrated tonight, guys. It's hard to like.
Well, can we address something at this point? We're just having fun, right? This is a bonus episode. There's a lot of people in the chat talking about moving Dansby down. We're talking about being frustrated with Dansby. Who bats fifth? Or that was crazy that Dansby batted fourth the other day. Let's just assume it's a regular lineup. Who bats fifth instead? To me, it's Michael Busch. I don't care about lefty after lefty. Just do it. Just give me more Michael Busch at bats.
I would vote Nico Horner just because of his runners and scoring position numbers this year.
Okay, I like that.
Because at least you can get better contact. And while Busch is having a great year, there's still a lot of swing and miss there. I trust Nico to at least put the ball in play more. That would be my pick at this point.
I want to hear from the people in the chat as well. I got Josh saying Busch. Ty, what do you say?
I'm going to lean Nico just because his bat to ball, in my opinion, has been so good. And I feel like there's a little bit more swing and miss with a guy like Bush. The flip side of it, though, is that Turner can be put in that spot, who obviously has a higher runners in scoring position mark than a 421 OPS, Mr. Dansby Swanson. It grinds my gears because literally, Alex, you and I were watching this game together there at the end. And we went, oh, PCA, wow, pulled through. Obviously, he's dialed in. He's going to be locked in. You know every single ball after that play in the fourth inning was going to be hit about 105 plus, right? What did you say right as he hit that ball?
I don't even remember. I'm so angry I blacked it all out.
Dansby is on deck. And I went, all right, well, we should probably start the show now.
That's right.
Because that's where we're at. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and actually, I also remember saying, Dansby, if you got one magic moment in you, let it be now. And of course, shoulda, coulda, woulda. It is what it is. Let's move on because I can't talk much more about this game before I lose my mind. Let's talk about some transactions that happened today. So let's talk about some news and notes. Ben Brown, fellas, it's over for now. Ben Brown was optioned to AAA. Porter Hodge activated. Kyle, in our text chain today, you even said, well, kind of a weird time to bring him back. He had really been struggling, but apparently the Cubs think he's ready to roll. So Ben Brown to AAA, Iowa. Porter Hodge is back. I guess, Kyle, Ben Brown going to Iowa, what do you want to see from him outside of the box score? Because at some point he's going to come back. But what's the point? Obviously, this team's going to need pitching depth. But what do you want to see for him to be able to come back and to succeed? Is it as simple as you need a third pitch, buddy?
I just think that's oversimplifying things. I mean, I do understand what Cubs fans are saying, but like Justin Steele mainly has 2 pitches. Shota Imanaga pretty much last year was successful just on 2 pitches. When Ben Brown locates, Ben Brown is incredible. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Brown at some point in his Cubs career figures it out. And every time we're like, wow, he didn't strike out 10 batters this game. Like that's going to be his new basement. That's where I think Ben Brown's potential is. Someone said on Twitter earlier today that people think that Ben Brown should have been DFA. And I'm sorry if you think that, like, you just don't know ball. He's got 97 to 99. I think he even hit 100 on a fastball once this year with the best hook in baseball. The problem is, I honestly think Ben Brown just tries to overthrow a lot. And that's why we see a lot of things get hung. That's why we see a lot of fastballs ride up and away. And JD talked about it yesterday. When Ben Brown has that getting on top and then it just darts down bottom corner knees, good freaking luck. And that's what we saw so much last year, was just darting down fastballs, curveballs that weren't hung. They were starting out in the zone and then they were diving out. So, honestly, to me, the Cubs are going to go get a starter. If they are healthy, if the starters are healthy the rest of the year, I would much rather see Cade Horton stay in the rotation and Ben Brown figure some things out at AAA, come back and be a leverage guy. Not necessarily high leverage, but medium leverage to start off. And let's just see what he can do with those 2 pitches as a bullpen guy. Mainly just for confidence. Like, I just want to see him come in and have a really good, however many games left in the season that he has. This is an amazing human being. This is an amazing teammate. This is a guy that you want to see successful. This is a guy who's worked so hard to be mentally tough as well. And you can see when he says yesterday, like, it's just really frustrating. You can see that it's just getting to him. And when you look at these bad games too, by the way, guys, like, every single bad game that he's had, he hasn't been bad the entire game. He's had like 2 or 3 innings where you're like, okay, this is it. And then he falls off again, or he starts it off really good like he did yesterday and then falls off. It's been like that since day one in Japan. Gave up 3 runs in the first inning and then goes out and looks like an ace for the next 3 innings, or 2 and the third, or however many it was. He just has to figure out a way to do it over a longer stretch. And so for that reason, I'm like, all right, let's just put him in for 1 or 2 innings and let him figure it out there. Maybe this whole like ramping up thing he knows he's going to pitch the day before. Maybe he's just getting in his own head. Maybe he just doesn't need to know that he's pitching that day. And if he just comes in and it's like, hey, you're going in for an inning because we need you now. We didn't know if we were going to need you today, but now we need you. It's like, maybe that'll clear his mind. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Great points there, Kyle. A lot of the same things that I was going to say, because with Ben Brown, the thing is that when you're talking about adding a third pitch, just go add a third pitch. Well, folks, when you're trying to add a third pitch at the major league level during the season, when you threw it about 14 times last year, and if you look at the numbers, he has increased his usage of his changeup. I can't even comprehend how difficult that must be, right? So now you're relying on fastball. He's got to make sure he gets over the top. He's got to make sure he gets downhill. He's got to be able to hit at the knees. When he doesn't hit at the knees, okay, well, now I got to try to elevate, and then I got to try to get my curveball down and away. And it just seems so erratic, and it never felt like Ben Brown throughout the season, except maybe one or two starts that, one of them luckily was against Milwaukee, that felt like this guy owns the at-bat. Because even on 2 strikes, he would throw non-competitive pitches. And you could tell a lot of the times with the hitters as well is that they'd be sitting there being like, all right, well, I'm just going to wait fastball because he's going to try to absolutely kill this knuckle curve into the dirt to the outside. Well, guess what? I can just wait back. Okay, if it's a changeup, I'll wait back a little bit longer. Boom, I can take it the other way. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, like, Ben Brown should just go down and learn his third pitch. Like, that's going to take an entire season, guys. We won't see him till September if we try to do the whole third pitch thing. So where I think this needs to come into play is this kind of goes back to what I heard. I can't remember who it was, but Zombro and this effect of maybe we just need to throw a little bit more in the zone and attack when it's 0-2, attack when it's 1-2, not feeling like we got to be able to be perfect on this knuckle curve or be perfect on a slider. And for a lot of the time this year, it's worked out for the Cubs, maybe a little bit of a different opinion now. But if you want to stay at the big league level, non-competitive pitches, you're down in AAA, just like Ben Brown is right now.
Well, and you had mentioned attack the zone, and you are correct. You be aggressive, attack the zone. However, the issue, especially from the last 2 games, when you attack, maybe try and hit a corner. Maybe don't throw it.
You are right. Hit a corner. Yes, absolutely. But
the Ben Brown hit a corner challenge. My God. Or Tyone for that matter. So I agree with all of that. But there might be some help on the way sooner than we think. I'm going to play a clip. It's a 30-second clip if you haven't heard this already. This is Bruce Levine on Mully and Hall. That's on 670 The Score. He was talking about
Cubs are looking at adding that pitcher that we've been talking about, and it appears they're getting closer to identifying some of these teams that are out of it that want to trade. So I wouldn't be shocked over the next week or 10 days, much before the trading deadline, maybe as early as this week, that they make a move for another starting pitcher.
Hold on.
Yeah.
This week, you think the Cubs could make a move?
They could.
Kind of wild. He then went on to say that it's not going to be Sandy. It's not going to be one of these mega deals that we're all dreaming about. But maybe someone like a Zach Eflin or someone in that tier that is kind of a rental, cheap, not going to cost you a lot, but they need reinforcements. And then Jesse Rogers on Monday, he was on ESPN 1000 with Cap and Jay Hood. He said that he believes that the Cubs and Marlins are going to make a deal at some point this quote-unquote trade season, because they talked about Luzardo in the offseason. They know the players. It's been reported that the Marlins really, really like Owen Casey. So there's probably a deal to be made there. But the fact that he said, Ty, this week, it was a little shocking to hear.
It was very shocking to hear, but my thinking here is, okay, if you're not going to go after a top arm and you're just trying to work for a serviceable arm, right now, Imanaga's coming off an injury, right? It's a hamstring injury. Okay, you could say he's got some bullets left over, right? Thank God. But now, so your rotation, you're truly going to rely on a rookie, Jamison Tyone, Colin Ray, Matthew Boyd, who has not thrown north of 78 innings since 2019. and you're not and quote unquote, your sense of urgency, wanting to win the division, wanting to go far in the playoffs, and you're going to rely on a guy like Zach Eflin. I don't like that idea at all. I understand that it's going to hurt with some of the names that would have to be included for a package for a guy like Sandy Alcantara or a bigger name like a Zach Gallen, when you're talking about the likes of an Owen Casey and others. But at the end of the day, if this season were to, let's say, worst comes to shove, we somehow sneak into the playoffs, but we don't have enough in the rotation. Tucker leaves. What now? Now next year, yes, you get Steele back, but who knows when Steele's going to come back? So there's a lot of unknowns, guys. And that's why it's like, can we just bite the bullet and go after something right now? It's not going to hinder your future with sending a guy like Owen Casey. I'm sorry. It's just not. You're not going to put yourself in a predicament. You're the Chicago freaking Cubs. You can go buy a player. It's fine. I just worry that they're going to settle because they're going to think, oh, in the pitching lab, we can fix this and do this. Well, we're starting to see a little bit of the issues now with a guy like JMO and some of these other names. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
I just want to clarify real quick before I throw it to Kyle, same question of like, what do you think? But just to clarify, he was talking about this is more of a smaller move to basically get them to the deadline, figuring that Sandy or someone of that ilk won't be ready to be dealt until July. Because the Cubs sound like they're ready now by all indications. But the problem is, it takes two to tango. If the Marlins aren't ready to trade Sandy and they think they can hold on to him and get more because he's pitching better, they're going to hold on to him. So that was more of a, hey, this is kind of a Colin Ray replacement is how I interpreted it. But Kyle, what would you think about adding more of an arm just to kind of get you through the next several weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, a month ago, Bleacher Nation, maybe not a month ago, if time has escaped me recently, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, Bleacher Nation said, don't be surprised if the Cubs make a move for an arm sooner than you think. So like, this is all still kind of in line, and we're now just over a month away from the deadline. So especially with, what was the big trade? Devers got traded, right? And so it's like, okay, I mean, you can make a trade. So I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely with Ty on the fact that like Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara, James Triantos, I'm sorry, like they're not banging down the door. Like they're not putting pressure on this lineup right now to play them. So it's been a minute for those guys. So are we really thinking they're as good of prospects as we thought, or is now the time to trade them and to get some stuff in return that's going to be high yield? And yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Ty. Like I don't want a prospect hug in a year that we are ready to win. But also what's like, Jet is always about internal moves. Like Chris Flexen, I know I'm going to get flack for this, but can we not try him as a starter? Can we not at least try him, like do what we did with Colin Ray, where it's like, hey, you're bullpen guy. Now we're going to make you a starter, but we're going to do 3 or 4 innings and we're going to start to extend you out. Can we not try that with him? He had a 1.16 ERA at Iowa, and then he now has like a 0.7 ERA. I don't know what the numbers were tonight. He came in tonight at a 0.78 ERA. We've got bullpen reinforcements with Porter Hodge coming up. We've got other guys that are banging down the door, and Luke Little and Riley Martin that have been pitching really well in AAA as relievers. I don't think that we need Chris Flexen. I don't think that we would lose Chris Flexen's value moving him to a starter and just trying that out, just at least for now, while we have this shambles of a rotation. Can we? Am I on the wrong track there?
I love it. I actually had that same exact thought today. Looking at all of his peripheral numbers, all of his regular numbers, he's been good. He's overqualified right now for what he's tasked with doing. And what has Colin Ray done? What did Ben Brown do? Ben Brown was good enough to get him sent on a plane back to Des Moines. And Colin Ray, I mean, and I'm not saying DFA him. I'm not, because I hate that fans just automatically go, this guy sucks, DFA him. Like, he's got value. But has he done anything to knock your socks off? And you're like, oh, this guy, we need this guy every 5 days. Why not? At this point in time, with things spiraling the way they are, why not? You're looking for answers anyway. Maybe he becomes, instead of giving up resources for Zach Eflin to get you to the end of July. Maybe you have that already. Maybe you have Zach Eflin at home. Ty?
The way that I'm trying to think like Jed a little bit here, because the way that I've kind of seen how this team has sort of been created is that to bypass certain parts of the year with being able to use their assets to the best of their ability, right? So we saw what Colin Ray provided at the beginning of the year. Hell, a lot of people were like, holy smokes, might be the deal of the offseason deal of the offseason for the Cubs in the same situation or same light as Matthew Boyd, which is hilarious to think about now. And so now what you're starting to see is, okay, so as these teams start to figure out how to hit guys like Colin Ray, then you can throw something at him like a Chris Flexen, where we haven't been able to see him go that 4 or 5 inning mark. So I like your thinking there. My only caveat to that is that it does feel like an important stretch with the Cardinals and the Brewers and some of these teams that are coming up. I might be messing up there on the Brewers on coming up here in the schedule, but it just, I don't know, guys. It feels like within the division right now, it feels like we just need to be able to compete against these teams with the best that we got. Now, again, I'm not saying you guys aren't wrong, because Flexen has really been unbelievable. And tonight showed it again. He was excellent. I'm trying to think in mind of Jed, where is he going to start to really, really, really get a sense of urgency with trying to get a guy in there as soon as possible? I just hope it's a bigger name than some of the names that have already been mentioned this far.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Quickly, before we open up the phone lines here, if one of you two fine co-hosts would post the link to the StreamYard in the chat, that would be appreciated on my end. I do want, thank you. So link to join us is now in the chat. Click that link, hop on in. We'll get to you in just a second. Before we move on to that, though, I do want to mention there was also a bit of news that came out that Miguel Amaya is trending to come back right around the All-Star break. Nothing specific, but Craig Counsell said he's throwing, he's hitting. So by all accounts, good news on Miguel Amaya, and Lord knows that.
Can he bunt by chance? Or sorry, too soon. Go ahead, continue on.
Too soon. Way too soon. I'm not over it yet. All right. Before we open up the phone lines, Ty just tased me with that. I don't know what to do with that. Before we open up the phone lines, let's hear a quick word from our friends at Obvious Shirts.
Setup Nation, I want to take a quick break so that you know how you can support our channel and wear some cool swag like this. We've teamed up with Obvious Shirts to give you a chance to have your very own Setup Man shirt or hat. Pick from 3 different types of shirts, or my personal favorite, the trucker hat. Go to the link in the description of this video and podcast to claim your Setup Man apparel. And thank you so much for supporting our channel.
Thank you for the support. Indeed, phone lines are now open. It is in the chat. Click that link. Hop on in here. We know y'all got some thoughts. So let's throw to our first caller of the night, an old friend. It's been a minute. Jacob, hello, good sir.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
I am tired as all get out, but I couldn't even watch the damn game today. I was I'm taking a online college course from UCLA for finance, and just some notes for break even Tom there. Breaking even is not great for investing like a team. Not a great idea. But anyways, as I said, I didn't get to have a chance to really watch the game, but I have 2 things I want to say. First, this Cubs team is literally at this point going to give me aneurysms. Like it's so back and forth with what's happening. I get like, you don't know what team you're going to get day in and day out, which is what makes it so hard to watch. Hi. Oh, hi.
You joining us.
And the second thing about Ben Brown, I know I put it in the comments earlier. He just doesn't know how to pitch. He's someone who knows how to throw, but not pitch. Like you could pitch with 2 pitches. There's a lot of people who have done great work with sinker and sinker slider, with fastball, curveball, and barely anything else. And even like, for example, Kershaw's early career, he didn't really have his slider or changeup. It was fastball, curveball, and he became one of the best damn pitchers in the world. So, you know, it's just he doesn't know how to pitch, and this team doesn't know whether or not they're the Chicago Cubs or the Chicago White Cubs. So I'll leave it with that.
All right. Thank you for the call, Jacob. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Jacob.
Oh, I kicked him out a little too early. My bad, Jacob. He brings up a good point, though, that I think a lot of our, as a fan base, impatience with Ben Brown specifically, is because we're trying to compete. If this is 2023, 24, okay, we can have some developmental time. We can kind of see how this goes. Get your reps and what at the big league level. We just can't afford that right now. So I think that, at least that's for me. I can't speak to the rest of Cubs Nation, Setup Man Nation out there, but yeah, this is the other thing too. I feel like we've kicked the Ben Brown horse to absolute death. I actually told Ty in the last show we did, all we do, or at least I feel all I do, is talk about Ben Brown. So it's just.
Well, can I just remind you guys, like, Greg Maddux, his first 2 years in the league, 5.52 ERA, 5.61 ERA. Now he was 20 and 21 years old, but then suddenly he was an all-star in his 22 age season in 1988. So like, you're allowed to struggle. The stuff is just so good, and we've seen it be so good, and he's done it. And even, I mean, listen, think about the best pitch games this year, and I can tell you Ben Brown is 2 or 3 of those games. Against the Dodgers when we won 16-0, that 6-inning shutout. And then there was the one game against the Brewers. I think it was 6 or 7 inning shutout. And then it's like, okay, like Matt Boyd has had a couple really good games, but he still has a blip on the radar, or he only goes 5 or 6 innings of no runs. Like Ben Brown he has flashed the stuff. It's worth waiting for. We just can't wait this season. If this was 2022 or 2023 Cubs, keep throwing them back out there. It's not.
So I have a question for you, actually for both of you. And Ty, let's start with you. Do you think?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
You might be able to read my mind. Do you know what I'm going to ask you? Do you think maybe if there's a certain fish in Miami that's a really good pitcher, would you trade Ben Brown for him? That's an honest question.
I was just about to say, is Ben Brown a tradable asset? Look, it's all going to come down to who sincerely is, like, from the teams that are truly wanting to get better at the deadline, which unfortunately it's going to be teams like the Dodgers and the Padres and some of these teams that are fighting in the NL West, especially now with the Giants making the move with Devers, right? We talked about with that domino effect that we were probably going to see, even though it was such a unique scenario with the Devers situation. So look, is Ben Brown a guy that I'd love to see on the Cubs in the future? Absolutely. Yes, he's a guy that I think has the stuff, as Kyle mentioned. The thing, though, is that we're talking about such a unique scenario. It kind of goes back to the Gleyber-Torres situation, where, yes, you gave up such an incredible asset at the time for a guy like Aroldis Chapman, but it was a situation you were in. I feel like the Cubs organization is pretty desperate right now, and that all started with the Kyle Tucker move that happened in the offseason, that I think anyone right now in the organization is at play to be traded. And I'd love to say guys like Jackson Wiggins or some of these other names that are even these really young and up-and-comers. But really right now, this is where the organization's at.
Yeah. And with that said, let's go to our next caller, Luke. Luke, welcome to the program.
First time, right?
What's that?
Is that first time?
I got with you guys on the Twitter live like months ago.
But first one on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Welcome in.
Thanks, you, brother.
Guys. Yeah, so I just want to talk about pitching, specifically the rotation. I felt coming into this season, this is when we had Steele like healthy, like I thought we were gonna be in a good spot to win the division, but not necessarily. I didn't feel like we had enough to go deep, on a deep run. And now we're like Ray and Brown, like in my opinion, they did more than we could expect them to do. Like they did, like I was shocked with how Ray and Brown performed the last month and a half. But now, like, we're gonna have to replace Brown, and I don't know who we're gonna get. Like, I know everyone keeps talking about Alcantara, and I'm just not sold that that's like gonna be a deal we want to make. To like give up guys like Casey and not Canario.
Alcantara.
Yeah, Alcantara. Like just for like, what is it? 1 year of Alcantara or
No, it would actually be 2 or
Okay.
two and a
and
half.
then he's got I believe there's
Yeah.
a club option. So
Okay.
it's
but
for a while.
I still feel like even if we get him, we still need another guy. Like that's just where I'm at in terms of the pitching. Like the bullpen, still you're gonna need someone else. Like, I mean, do you guys have any idea how many deals we're gonna be looking to make here at the deadline? Because I feel like we're like 2-3 moves away if we want to make like a serious run.
Well, according to Bruce Levine, it sounds like they're going to make one smaller deal and kind of ramp up to a bigger deal. I would imagine with Matt Shaw's struggles, I don't think third base or a bench bat is off the table. So
Right.
I think they're going to be proactive. They clearly are. I mean, good Lord, Nate Pearson, I've jokingly called him middle seat Nate with my family because I don't think they gave him an aisle seat back to Iowa. And it's just like they're being aggressive. So what say you guys? They're going to make a couple deals.
I think you're right, Luke. I think they are 2 or 3 moves away, but back to what Alex said, I think it's one big move and then it's some smaller pieces. I think it's everyone keeps putting in the chat Eugenio Suarez. I mean, sure, that'd be great, but I don't think that they go and get a frontline starter and a Eugenio Suarez. I think they get either a Eugenio Suarez and then like an Edward Cabrera from the Marlins, like that. Okay, that's a nice piece, but it's not going to change your season. I would rather than make a game-changing decision move in the starting rotation because the offense can deal with Matt Shaw figuring things out as long as he plays great third base. That's where I stand on the offense. But a bench bat, let's go get a freaking couple bench bats. That is not a fun bench to call on for pinch hitting.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the offense. I always felt like the offense would come around again. I just feel like the staff is just decimated. And like I said, I just feel like there's so many moves that need to be made to get us in a spot where we're actually able to make that deep run.
For sure.
So yeah,
and Luke, thank you for calling in. We got to get rolling. We got one more call and we're closing an hour, but we appreciate you calling in, sir.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. And I'm guessing our final caller of the night, Rob from LA, City of Angels. Welcome into the program.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Literally icing my shoulder from a gym injury today.
Oh no. Rob, I saw you in the background, brother, and I was sitting there and I was like, I think he's gonna make a great joke about gonna throw my arm on ice.
No,
but
literally.
Should we seriously be concerned?
Tweaked it. No. It's a little stinger. Tweaked it trying to, bulk
1
up
to 2
the
days.
pec.
Day to day.
Day to day, exactly. Unfortunately, it is my throwing arm. But yeah, I'm in beautiful LA, probably about 12, 13 minutes from Dodger Stadium. I was at the Colin Ray game that you guys reference all the time. I saw PCA hit the 2 home runs at that game.
Nice.
I was there with my Dodger loving wife, laughing at her the entire time. 6 rows behind the Cubs dugout, spared no expense.
Let's go.
Right? The dude in front of me had a Jake Arrieta jersey on. Gave him some love.
This memory is implanted in your mind forever. Like you are still there.
Well, what's awesome too is last year I was at the game when PCA had those 3 unbelievable catches, including the game winner when he
I was
stole the
at
home
that
run.
game too.
Yeah, which was incredible. So, needless to say, I'm going to end this chat with a little bit of faith, right? I'm a therapist and marriage and family therapist, and I feel like we need a little therapy right now.
Are you getting ready to sponsor our show?
Excuse me?
Are you getting ready to sponsor our show? We're looking for one.
Well, I'll tell you what, if anyone needs therapy in either Texas, Florida, or California, I'm your guy.
How about Green Bay, Wisconsin? Because that,
what? I'm not licensed in Wisconsin, but I'll take all you sorry Packer fans when you guys start losing to the Bears.
What? Why, man? I was trying to be nice.
Welcome to the show, Rob. Let's go. Let's go, brother.
I love. You know what? I love all three of you guys. I'll tell you what. Like I've been listening or watching you guys almost daily. You guys like not only crack me up, but you guys are just so informative. I like the fact that you guys are like fledgling. I believe you guys, the audience is going to continue to grow, and I'm really excited for you guys. But here's the thing. I know that the kind of freak out nature of podcasting brings in the listeners. People like to hear the drama. People like to hear the, oh shit, what's happening. This is obviously not the sport where that can be our vernacular or our mindset day in and day out. The Mets just lost 7 in a row. The Dodgers a few years ago, remember that crazy, they lost like 17 games in a row, and still, I mean, you know, unfortunately it's because they're the Dodgers, but they still won their division after losing like literally 17 games in a row middle of the season. I remember because I made fun of my wife back then for that. By the way, if you guys don't mind, I'll tell you a story later about her shit talking Houston fans in Houston during a Cubs Astros game.
Oh my God.
She's wearing her Dodger jersey loud and proud, chanting, "Trash can, trash."
She wasn't wearing her Joe Kelly shirt?
Oh yeah, she should have almost picked a fight with a couple posing with the 2017 World Series ring outside of their stadium. They have like a big kind of statue version of it.
Oh my God.
Because we're in Texas, they were too nice to fight back. But anyway, back to the Cubs. Dodgers lose 17, 18 in a row a few years ago. Mets just came off of a 7-game losing streak. Yankees just lost a ton in a row, right? From afar, we look at those teams and those losing streaks, and we still go, hey, they're a great team. They got a slump going. They're going to get it together. They're going to get their act together. There's time in the season for us to get back to where we need to be. And I totally agree that we need to adjust through trades. We need to, I think it's great when Counsell sent, I forgot, out the window earlier in the season when he wasn't performing. Like didn't wait around for that. But you know, it's anxiety, it's fear, it's, you know, obviously as a Cub fan outside of 2016, this is maybe what we're used to. The sky is falling, but it's a marathon. It's a marathon. And if you think about it, we've had disastrous starts to the season the last couple of years, and then we turn it around in the second half with a lot less talent than what we have now, right? We have a lot of baseball to play. Yeah. And I came in late to the chat. Perhaps this argument was made earlier, so I apologize. But we have a lot of baseball to play. We also have a second half that has been our friend the last few years. Maybe it won't be our friend this year. I hope it will. But, you know, you need to have a little faith. Maybe we manifest a little bit. You know, I talk to my clients about manifesting what you want, validate what you want. We could do a little bit of that. We could get a little woo-woo. But I think we also need to just keep it in perspective. And it doesn't make for good podcast shows on the day-to-day when you're trying to find. I know you guys said too, oftentimes I appreciate that. Like, hey, you know, like we got to kind of find, even when we're doing well, there are things that we need to point out that need to perhaps improve. And sometimes we spend too much time on that than lauding what's working. Right now, not much is working.
Yeah,
that's the truth, right?
I'd love to speak to that for just a second here, Rob,
Sure.
Because, you know, I had an entire discussion that went pretty viral over the offseason with Boog of like, you know, this team doesn't have a sense of urgency. I see KO Sports Talk talking about a sense of urgency in the chat as well. And I think with the 23 and 24 teams, what we came to know is that those teams have to win on the margins, right? They weren't scoring runs, so they had to win on the margins. So something like this would derail the team. But I think about Matt Cozy and Sam Ulber's talks a lot this year, and Matt being a optimist and saying like, hey, maybe we are in that echelon of teams now where we're like the Dodgers, where we're like the Yankees, where it's like, hey, who cares if we have a rough stretch because we're one of the best in baseball. We're going to make it to the playoffs. And I think I kind of felt that way about a month ago. Like, yeah, this team, like still right now, in no doubt in my mind, is making the playoffs. And so I just don't take these losses as hard, but we're Cubs fans and we're sports fans. We're emotional. And for that reason, like, I'm going to get pissed about, the smallest play in a win that we have that I want to complain about, even though we won. And even though it doesn't make a difference at the end of the year, I'm still going to want to complain about it because I want everything to be perfect because I love this team so freaking much. And I put my whole life into watching these guys. And so, yeah, I mean, that's where we are. But
well, and it's interesting because I'm in a text thread with 2 Cub and 2 Detroit fans, right? One of the Cub fans outside of myself in that thread runs on emotion and runs on history and has a very kind of sky is falling mentality, right? On when there is, any sign of disaster. I have my best friend who is from Chicago, also lives in LA, who's very heady, very logical. So I'm taking more from him, I guess, in my time with y'all to think more about that kind of greater perspective, arc of time. We're in a marathon, not a sprint mentality. And maybe that's to keep my own sanity through the last, week of play. But I totally hear what you're saying too. I think that there could be a balance of, hey, let's believe that we're actually a damn good team this year. And even the best teams go through these like disastrous slumps, but we have enough to like swing it around. And to your point, we do need to pull the trigger on improving the club in some aspects, through trades and whatnot. So I think there's got to be a balance. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and we're up against the clock, so Rob, we got to let you go. But we appreciate you calling in, and it sounds like they will make moves. So hopefully that comes to fruition sooner than later. But Rob, thank you for calling in. Thank you to Setup Nation. That was fun bringing the callers back. It's been a minute, but it was nice to see y'all. Some new faces too, which was great. Just very quickly before we wrap up. Tomorrow, it was just announced by the Cardinals because they really wanted to keep this a secret for whatever reason. Eric Fetty will be going up against Matthew Boyd tomorrow. Fetty on the season 3-6, a 3.54 ERA. So it's not going to be easy. They got some work to do. But hopefully Matthew Boyd and company can stop the bleeding tomorrow. So that is going to do it for this live edition of the Setup Man post-game /podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all that commented. I saw the comments were going bananas at one point, so thank you for that. On your way out the door, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell in case Kyle does anything interesting on breakdowns or whatnot. Audio only, folks. Come on, you're missing all kinds of good stuff on YouTube, but that's okay. It's fine. But just make sure, if you're not going to watch YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. But much like Rob, Kyle, Ty, myself, we're going to go ice up. Thank you for joining us. Ty, I believe you and I are back on Thursday after they finish up the series with the Cardinals, and hopefully, just hopefully, they can get a split. But we will see you Thursday for that. We're going to go ice up. Thank you all for joining us.